Hello, everyone. I see that people are already coming in. That's exciting. So as folks are coming through and getting set up and get yourself situated, because this is going to be a great content today. And we're going to be going through some housekeepings in the beginning, introductions, and then we'll get into the good stuff. So thank you for coming to the Healthy Building webinar series for the USGBC of West Michigan. But this is not just West Michigan this time. No, this is the whole state. We have the east side of the state coming in today. Thank you, Ann Arbor and Detroit and all our friends at DTE for joining us today. We're going to be talking about reaching zero carbon through Michigan 2030 districts and DTE incentives, and it's going to be good. Thank you to DTE, MIGreenPower, and DNV-GL for joining us today. Can you go to the next slide, please? Oh, I always forget to introduce myself. I'm Jillian Gim. I'm the program manager for the USGBC of West Michigan. But today we have, starting with 15 minutes of the Michigan 2030 districts. We've got Jan, Connie, and Cheri here to have a great conversation. Following, we have Ken Randazzo from DTE with a good update. And we have Tamika Banks, the DTE Assessment Overview and Importance. And then followed by that will be Peter Griffin and Brian Calka. And then we're going to have a good Q&A. And so don't underestimate the Q&A. If you got a burning question, put it in immediately. You can put it through the chat. Remember, if you're messaging just somebody individually or everybody, sometimes people mess up on that. And when you get a Q&A, when you get a question, throw it in the Q&A. We'll make sure to get to it. Your perspective is very valuable to us. Just a little reminder that after this, you'll get a survey. And that's one of the most important things from you that we can get. We need to know what you thought of this one, what you learned, and what more you want to see. Because we put the experts in front of you that you want to see, that you want to learn about. So without any further ado, thank you so much for coming, everybody. And message me if you have any questions. And in the meantime, I'm going to send it off to the next slide. Thank you. So who got the slide, huh? It's either Cheri, Jan, or Connie.
Well, I can start. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're super excited to have you with us here today. I'm just going to give a brief overview of what 2030 districts are. Many of you know what we do or a portion of what we do, but it's a pretty broad program, so we just want to make sure everybody knows what we're working towards here in our districts. We are a part of a national movement across North America. And we have target goals that come from the 2030 Architecture Challenge for Planning that was first created by an architect named Ed Mazria. He wanted buildings that were either renovated or new to focus on reducing energy and water consumption in commercial buildings, as well as greenhouse gas emissions to and from transportation. So that was his goal. The first district started out in Seattle many years ago, and now we have 22 districts across North America. The overarching organization is called 2030 Districts Network. So what do? We basically work with our building members to create high performance buildings, to not only see the environmental benefit for our cities and our buildings, but also to help reduce operating expenses. So this helps us to promote economic vitality because the building owners can now put more money back into fixing their buildings with more upgrades or investing in their business or their employees. So there's a really nice side effect to being environmental friendly cities. We're working towards creating entire districts of buildings as opposed to one building at a time, and working towards carbon neutral cities. So we also work on other sustainable initiatives. Each district can work on as many as they want. Each district's a little different, other than those original goals of energy, water, and transportation emissions. We work on stormwater management, some of them, as well as indoor air quality. So we are proud to be the only state out of 22 districts to have of 22 states to have 3 districts. So Jan and I and Cheri have been working together now for a few years. And what this does is, first of all, it's, go Michigan. When we're on our talks with all the districts, we're kind of I think we're really proud that we have 3 districts and we can show off what Michigan's trying to do as being a sustainable state, and work towards reducing our emissions. But what really works well is that we get to share resources, and this allows us to bring more value to our building members. And so it's pretty exciting. Thank you all for being with us today again. And I'm going to let Jan go ahead and talk a little bit about our membership types.
Sure, thanks, Connie. Yeah, 2030 districts are membership organizations, and we have 3 types of members. The first category are property stakeholders, and those include building owners, managers, developers, tenants. And then we have our professional stakeholders, which might include architects, engineers, contractors, suppliers. And third are the community stakeholders, which include government entities, institutions, nonprofits, who are all working toward reducing our greenhouse gas emissions and carbon neutrality. So it's really this partnership, which is a public-private partnership of collaboration with our utilities, that we make the real progress toward a zero carbon future.
Cheri, you're on mute.
Thank you. I'm Cheri from the Grand Rapids 2030 district, and I work alongside Jillian, who's actually our program manager. And I just wanted to let you know kind of what's going on in our district. We have several programs running. One of them, called the Energy Assistance Program, actually performs audits for small businesses, houses of worship, educational institutions. So there's a couple ways to get involved in something like that. A, you may be looking for an audit and need financial help with that. Or B, you may be a professional partner who can perform audits at some of the 2030 membership organizations. So alongside that, of course, with our new COVID world, we're doing a lot of webinars, formerly lunch and learns. So you can certainly get involved in any of our webinars like you are today. We've been having a COVID series, and we're getting ready to launch the Michigan Energy Summit series here in a couple weeks. So a couple of great ways you can get involved in Grand Rapids. How about Ann Arbor? What's going on in Ann Arbor, Jan?
Yeah, Ann Arbor, June 1st, the city council passed the A20 carbon neutrality plan. And it has a community-wide goal of carbon neutrality by 2030. So that's ambitious in that it is a community-wide plan. So we've been working diligently with the city. We currently have 90 buildings that we're tracking energy and water use. And we're expediting data by working with DTE and the city of Ann Arbor. We'll have dashboards up for every single building member by the end of the year. We're working with our third baseline is we track energy, water, and transportation. So our third baseline for transportation, we're working with the University of Michigan School of the Environment and Sustainability Masters project team. And they're developing, it's going to be a really interesting survey because the survey will track pre-COVID commutes, COVID commutes, and then what people's projections are after. So we're really looking forward to getting that information. And then moving forward, we'll have an ongoing every 2-year survey to measure our reduction in vehicle miles traveled. And the goal for the A20 is reducing that by 50%. By the end of 2020, we're on track to complete 30 free energy audits for building members. And it's been, from churches to city buildings, to park buildings, to restaurants. It's been really interesting. And we follow up and have a meeting with each of those building members and try and put them on track to, their energy reductions. We also have a multifamily pilot that we'll be publishing case studies for. And it's in Ann Arbor, just one building management company transitions 200 units over the summer. And so the idea is to train their maintenance folks in how to do almost like a mini audit and blower door test to really seal up and make some energy efficiency, low-hanging fruit improvements when they're transitioning those units. We're also launching a collaborative series on implementing the 820 plan with the Contractors Association and the local AIA chapter. And working on energy benchmarking and transparency policies with the city's Energy Commission. So a lot of policy and data work. That's us. Hey, Connie, what's going on in Detroit?
Okay, let's see if I can get this all in 30 seconds here. Anyways, I think many of you noticed or remember before everything went dark in our city, we launched the Detroit Energy Challenge along with the Michigan Battle of the Building competition. So if you were joining Michigan Battle of the Building, you were automatically entered into possibly receiving a Detroit Energy Reduction Award if you're located in Detroit. So that is still going on. Normally we give awards in April. We weren't able to do it this year. So next April, we will hopefully give out the first Detroit Awards for that. So if you want any more information on how to enter your building into that, let me know. We were working pretty diligently with two groups, venue museum groups and houses of worship, to help them reopen this spring with some reopening strategies. And so now hopefully I think we're kind of leaning towards getting a little bit over that hump so we can kind of get back to our regular routine of what we're working with our building members with. One new exciting thing is that we have a great relationship now with the EPA Energy Star for houses of congregations, houses of worship. And we're going to be doing a 6-month treasure hunt with them. If you're a house of worship in Detroit, we have 18 of them in our program, and we're excited to have a competition with them that will allow us to work individually with about 5 or 6 houses of worship for about 4 to 6 months and really help them find some energy reduction strategies. We're also going to be doing a water reduction competition, internal water reduction competition next year with our building members, and that is also with the EPA Water Sense. Also, we have coming new for our building members is our new building member reports, which is similar to a dashboard to help you see where you're at and what you're doing. We have been doing this with DTE. Thank you to DTE for supporting this program. And we're really excited to get these new reports out to our members coming soon. I just want to mention we have been working with Wayne State U students, as well as coming up hopefully U of M like Jan has on different programs. So I thank them for their partnership. And I'm also working with a group of people on creating a draft of a greenhouse gas, a benchmarking ordinance for the city of Detroit. So hopefully you will see some news on that early next year. And lastly, just what's coming up, we have a well building seminar in October with the Well Building Institute, October 14th, and the 2030 Summit, which is where all the districts come together once a year to meet, is virtual this year. There will be about 3 speakers that everyone can watch, so keep your eyes open for that invitation. And we will host this event next year. It was supposed to be in Detroit this year. We will host it next October. So we're excited to hopefully see that happen. And lastly, the Sustainable Detroit Soiree is December 3rd and will be virtual this year. So a lot going on.
Thanks, Connie. Hey,
You're
so
welcome.
to wrap it all up, I know you're all wondering, like, how do I get involved? So we've pasted the links up in the chat box. You can join any one of our districts individually. If you only have an interest in Ann Arbor, join Ann Arbor. But if you have interest statewide, which many of you do, you can join us all together at once. All the building owners are free. Community like-minded partners are free, and there is an annual membership fee for professional partners, but that is discounted by 20% if you choose to join all 3 of us at one time. So that's the nutshell. I should mention too, because Connie brought up the Detroit Energy Challenge and the Michigan Battle of the Buildings. That's completely free to get involved. If you're a building owner who wants to be recognized for being the biggest loser of energy in Michigan, then join the Battle of the Buildings. And again, DTE support is what makes this program continue. So please join them at any time. Detroit Energy Challenge or Battle, they're synonymous. If you're in Detroit, you're automatically a battle contestant if you join the Detroit Energy Challenge. And again, that's completely free. Get awards, and if you don't win, then you know you've got nothing to lose. You had fun and learned something. So I'm going to move back to Jillian now and get started with next speaker. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, 23rd Districts, Connie, Jan, and Cheri. Now we're going to turn over to DTE. Ken, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ken Randazzo. I have responsibility for all the commercial industrial energy efficiency programs. And I also have responsibility for a group of energy managers that we put in customer facilities or work with customers to identify energy efficiency projects. Tamika Banks, one of the speakers after me, is one of those energy managers, and so she'll give you a little bit more detail on what that group does. Next slide, please. So what I want to do here is give you a little bit of overview of DTE Energy. DTE Energy is a holding company, and inside the holding company we have two regulated utilities, DTE Electric, which used to be Detroit Edison, formerly known as Detroit Edison, and DTE Gas, which was formerly known as Michigan Consolidated Gas Company, or MICgReen. We also have 9 competitive business units. These are unregulated business units that operate throughout North America. As you can see from the map and the next bullet, we have operations in over 20 states through gas, midstream gas, gas transportation, storage fields, coal shipment, DT biomass, and we'll get into all of those a little bit later. DT Electric is obviously the electric company. We operate basically in Southeast Michigan, where DTE Gas, as you can see from the little map on the other side, blue area covers the whole state. So we have operations in Southeast Michigan through gas, Upper Peninsula, Northern Lower Peninsula, the west side of the state. So DTE is pretty much throughout the state of Michigan. The electric company has over 11,000 megawatts of capacity. 1,100 of that is renewable energy, and Brian will talk a little bit about the renewable energy piece of it. We have 2.2 million electric customers, and we're the largest electric utility in the state and one of the largest in the nation. The gas operation, we own our own wells and storage fields. We have about 280 storage fields throughout the state of Michigan, and 1.2 million customers. We're one of the nation's largest natural gas utilities. So combined, DTE Energy is one of the largest utilities throughout North America. I think it's 7th or 8th in the list. Next slide, please. This is just a little bit of idea of the competitive businesses that we have and operate. DTE Gas is storing and transporting natural gas across the United States and Canada. It's a little bit different than the regulated company. The two regulated companies are obviously regulated by the Michigan Public Service Commission. DTE Gas Storage and Pipeline, we actually own and build pipelines to transport gas throughout the United States. We just completed a purchase of a facility in Louisiana. I think that purchase will be completed by the end of the year, so it'll allow us to bring natural gas from Louisiana area up to the northern parts of the state. We are expanding a pipeline to go through Pennsylvania into New York as well. DT Power and Industrial, we buy power plants throughout North America. We'll buy plants in California. We'll also own and operate customers' powerhouses. So for example, you'll have your own powerhouse that will generate electricity for yourself. We will buy that, maintain it, and own it. DT Biomass, a company that extracts methane gas from landfills and turns it into basically electricity and supplies it to customers. DT Trading is trading in like the New York Stock Exchange, only it's utility commodities. And then there's several other subsidiaries that we have started or are in the middle of starting. Next slide, please. These are just a couple of them. I'll just go to the Midwest Energy Resource. It's a pretty, I've been there once. It's a pretty unique operation. It actually transshipment facility where we'll rail coal from our Decker coal mine down in Montana or Wyoming, I think, and we'll transport it by rail to Superior, Wisconsin, dump it, put it on 1,000-foot barges and send it through Lake Superior down into Lake Huron, and then to our facilities around the state. Citizen Gas is just as a gas company that's on the border of Michigan and Indiana. Next slide, please. This is an overview of all of the DTE platforms that we've started over the last basically 10 years since energy efficiency has been around. It's now energy waste reduction. At one time, all we had were downstream platforms, basically prescriptive and non-prescriptive. And since in the last 4 or 5 years, we've added a small business platform that's operated by Jeremy Capello, and it has 2 programs in it. Business energy consultation and small biz focus, and what we're targeting are trying to assist small business customers to identify energy efficiency projects and help them through the journey. So it's a little bit more hand-holding in the small business platform. We've started a midstream platform, and as you can see, there's 3 programs in there: lighting, food service, and HVAC. Those programs are to streamline a delivery channel. We work exclusively with distributors and dealers, and so the idea is customers will go there, or their trade allies, contractors will go there to purchase the equipment and install it. There's really no application needed, and it's a point of purchase sale, so the rebate incentive is given at the counter, so to speak. So there's no paperwork. And then we have our typical downstream platform, which consists of our prescriptive program, new construction, we got agri application, and then our non-prescriptive or custom. And I believe Peter Griffin is going to talk in more detail about the downstream platform. We've started an operational platform, which is just that. We want to go in and help customers optimize their processes. So retro commissioning is basically focused on optimizing your HVAC system. Strategic energy management is a very detailed, continuous process to identify different processes within a facility. We work with hospitals, we'll work with manufacturing customers. It is a very detailed approach to identifying where you can save operating energy. The energy assessment platform is basically run by Patrick Ryan, but Tamika will speak about that. And in there we have a couple different products, business energy assessments, which are very straightforward walkthrough, and then we have a little bit more detailed one called strategic energy plan, which is for customers that own multiple facilities that are all alike. Next slide, please. We've also have what we call our emerging programs or pilots. These are programs that we're testing or starting. We want to be able to test different concepts to see if we can move them forward. One of them on their cohort sustainability group is working with Detroit 2030 district to automate utility information into Energy Star Portfolio Manager and then produce reports for customers through another organization that we have an affiliation with. We also have financing partners, and we have self-direct, and then these are a couple other opportunities that we work with. Next slide, please. So as you can see, we have wide and varied participation throughout the state of Michigan. Since 2009, we've introduced 4 new platforms with 10 new programs. We're trying to continually expand our offerings so that we can have many more customers participate in the program. Our programs are rated in the utility industry as best in class. Our midstream platform is the best in class platform, and other utilities want to follow that platform. Since 2009, we've processed over 70,000 applications, paid out $250 million in electric and gas incentives. Estimated that we've saved customers over $675 million on their energy costs. DTE Energy is a leader in energy efficiency programs, and they're assisting our efforts in leading the way to a cleaner, safer, smarter energy future. I think that's it. Next slide, please. Thank you. Hopefully I am on time, which I'm pretty sure I am. Thank you, everyone. If any questions, send them in.
Thanks, Ken. That was great and perfectly timed. Yes, just like Ken said, any questions, send them in. And so Tamika, you're going to be talking about energy efficiency walkthroughs today.
Thank you, Jillian. Thanks, Ken. My name is Tamika Young-Banks. I am a Principal Energy Manager with the Energy Smart team, and today I am going to present to you the energy efficiency walkthrough. Next slide, please. So the goal of the energy efficiency walkthrough is to assist business customers in identifying the energy efficiency opportunities that they can implement at their facility. Through a series of questions and observations, we can identify energy efficiency opportunities in lighting, HVAC, process, and other industry-specific opportunities. We then link those opportunities to the DTE incentive program, which Peter will talk about later this morning. And the walkthrough is not an ASHRAE energy audit in that we do not provide a rough cost and savings for potential energy efficiency measures for this particular program, but we do have those available to customers should they want an additional assessment. And one important thing to note is that the walkthrough is free to all of our DTE electric and or DTE gas customers. Next slide. So our process is pretty straightforward. We typically start out with leads generated by requests for an energy efficient walkthrough. We then proceed with the initial contact, the walkthrough itself, the post walkthrough discussion, and a report generated and report generation and request for additional needs. We will go through each step in the following slides. Next slide, please. So again, we typically generate leads from DTE account managers, the facility managers themselves, in your case, the ambassador, any building owner. Typically, the lead can come from anyone who is interested in identifying energy efficiency opportunities that are available for that business. We will then contact the building owner or facility manager, pretty much whoever the contact that we have, by phone to get some background information about the building. We usually ask about the age of the building type, and hours of operation, as well as any specific energy concerns the customer may have, so that we're better prepared to meet during our face-to-face meeting during the walkthrough. We will then schedule the walkthrough at the time and day that is convenient for that customer. So it would be based off of your availability or whomever we're meeting at the building to discuss the energy specific needs for that building. Next slide. So at the walkthrough, we typically walk through, or sometimes we just have a conversation, sit and talk with the person who knows about the building and the operations of the building. The walkthrough can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. It really depends on the systems in the building, as well as the size of the building if we're actually walking through it. And during the walkthrough, we make notes. We observe some of the following things, like the types of lighting. Should you have T8, T12s, or CFLs? We look at opportunities for lighting controls, types of space heating, the space heating that's in occupied and unoccupied spaces, as well as the type of process equipment used in the building. We make note of pumps that are in the facility, whether there's cooking equipment, for really specific industry, if you have welders, things of that nature, so that we can give you an overall comprehensive list of energy efficiency opportunities. As we are talking, we are also gathering information and making recommendations and suggestions as we're going through the walkthrough, so that if you have any questions or any concerns at that particular moment, hopefully something that we said might have jarred the memory so that they'll remember that particular need. Next slide. The post walkthrough, we do a recap of the immediate opportunities, so all of your low-hanging fruit for the customer. And also it's an opportunity for the customer to raise any concerns we may have missed in the questions that we usually run through for the program. The DTE Energy Manager may also provide resources and recommendations. For example, if there's an opportunity for the customer to participate in the midstream program, whether it's for lighting, HVAC, or those food service needs. We also provide that opportunity for my group to, if there's an additional need for further assessment, or if for multi-building owners for the need for the strategic energy plan, which is a tool that provides the building manager to look at all of their buildings in one spot and see how they stack up against each other, whether you have one building that's more efficient than others. Next slide, please. And so typically within the week, the facility manager or the building owner will receive a report with more detail provided during the post walkthrough recap. In the report, the customer will receive anywhere from the no-cost, low-cost opportunities to the major capital investment energy efficient opportunities available for that building. The report won't look exactly like what's on the slide, but you get a general knowledge of what your building, what opportunities are available for the building. For example, you will receive, in this example is the exit signs, but typically in the report, you will receive the proposed project, a brief description of the project, as well as linking those proposed projects to the DTE incentives. And after the report is received by the customer has the opportunity to reach out to any of the energy managers with questions, next steps, guidance on what they should do following that receipt of that report. And we'll try our best to link you with an outside contractor if you need an outside contractor, or if you're applying for the incentives, we can direct you to the DTE incentive program. And with that, next slide, please. That is it for me. I can turn it over to Peter Griffin, who will be talking about the DTE incentives. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tamika. My name is Peter Griffin. I work for DNV-GL Energy Services. We are an implementer of the Energy Efficiency Program for Business. First, I'm going to play a little video of information about DNV-GL and what we do, and then I'll talk about the rebate programs available.
Energy is not just energy. Wind turbines, solar power, and transmission lines are not just energy. They are the engines of modern society. The very things that enable us to prosper, move forward. The world of energy is changing. Over the next 35 years, demand will increase by 60%. Furthermore, society expects energy to be greener, more reliable, and more affordable. DNV-GL can help. Finding ways to solve the very complex energy trilemma is the core of our business. Take this offshore wind farm. How do we ensure that the design of these turbines can withstand storms at sea? Or that a transformer in the electricity grid will not fail and cause a blackout? Or how do we ensure the solar panels we invest in will still provide enough electricity in 10 years? To answer these questions requires a broad set of competencies, in-depth technical and operational knowledge about wind and solar energy, electricity transmission and distribution, and the way energy is used. Knowledge we share through our advisory services, guidelines, standards, and recommended practices. We just look at the facts. This is how we help companies make the right decisions. Over the 90 years we have been in the energy business, the perception of energy has changed. It is no longer an abundant resource we can simply use without thinking about tomorrow. That is why our vision is to have global impact for a safe and sustainable future. But in order to realize that, we need to see how things are connected. From supporting the engineering phase of a single component to managing an entire energy project, from contract support to guarantee testing, from policy and strategic advice for grid infrastructure to certifying the individual components of the power grid at our Arkema laboratories. And from developing, implementing, and tracking energy efficiency programs to complete planning and realization of future-proof energy systems. That is what we do at DNV-GL. We take a broader view by knowing the energy sector and how to solve tomorrow's challenges. Every year, we devote 5% of our revenue to research and innovation, exploring new ideas and concepts to support the energy industry. Ideas like how bulk power can be transmitted over long distances in a safe and secure way, or how a growing share of renewables and emerging technologies like storage can be integrated into the electricity grid, and how smart grids can turn energy consumers into energy producers. With around 2,500 dedicated, impartial energy experts, we know the challenges complex energy issues present and how best to solve them. And together, we can help ensure companies, industries, and societies become safer, smarter, and greener. DNV-GL. Safer, smarter, greener.
All right. Thank you for playing that video. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Energy Efficiency Program for Business, which offers cash incentives to customers for implementing energy efficient upgrades or implementing energy efficient design into their new construction and renovation projects. Next slide, please. So the most important thing to know right now as we're coming up near the end of the year is that the deadline for submitting program applications is November 30th. We won't extend reservations past this date. Any final applications, if you already have a project in with us, must be submitted within 60 days of the project completion or November 30th, whichever comes first. If we receive any incomplete final applications, they may be subject to cancellation, and any applications submitted after November 30th are also subject to application or cancellation. You can see our website at www.dtebizrebates.com. There are some gauges there showing how much of the funding has been reserved. So if you're on the fence about getting a project in, please make sure you do it because those funds are getting reserved quickly. Next slide, please. There are a couple different types of projects that we can incentivize through the program, either prescriptive measures, custom measures, or incentives for new construction and major renovation. Prescriptive measures are defined as one-for-one upgrades. The incentives are paid on an item, kWh, or MCF saved basis. Some of these measures require a pre-reservation before the project begins. Not all measures do, but we highly recommend that any project you're implementing, you get a reservation in so that we can make sure that we get those funds reserved for you. Custom projects are for measures that do not fit a prescriptive approach. Custom measure incentives are calculated on a kilowatt hour or MCF saved basis. And for these projects, it is always required to submit a reservation before the project begins so we can calculate savings and verify the products being used. The third way to go about participating in the program is new construction and major renovation projects. This is for ground up construction of new facilities or major renovations that involve a change of use of an existing space or an added load. There are two ways to receive incentives through this avenue. Those are the systems approach, using incentives that are defined per item or amount of energy saved, or we can do LEED whole building certification. We highly recommend that you reserve a project, but it is not required for all new construction projects. Next slide, please. So prescriptive incentives are predetermined measures with specific energy savings and cash incentives for electric and gas. The categories in electric are lighting, HVAC, miscellaneous, and then process. On the natural gas side, we offer incentives for hot water and laundry, for HVAC, insulation on buildings and equipment, process improvements, and then boiler and furnace tune-ups. Next slide, please. So to give you an idea of the participation process, it begins with a reservation application, which I'll talk a little bit about here coming up. Once you submit an application, we will have 2 to 4 weeks to review this application, to ask any clarifying questions about it. And once we have processed that, we'll send you and the customer a reservation letter. Could you click one more slide, please? I think it'll show the timelines here. So once a reservation letter is issued, you have 90 days to complete the project. The reason this timeline is there is to ensure that projects that are reserved are ready to go. Once the measures are installed and or construction is complete, you'll submit a final application to the program. And from there, we will take from 2 to 4 weeks to verify the upgrades and calculate the final incentives. Once that is complete, then we will issue a check, a cash check to the DTE account holder. Next slide, please. So there are 3 different applications in the program. Our main application is the one you'll probably use most often. It is for prescriptive, custom, and new construction measures and contains the worksheets for all of the eligible measures. We also have an agricultural application for farm-specific energy efficiency measures. And finally, we have an application for LEED design and review incentives. All 3 of these applications, you will use it as both a reservation application and as the final application once the project is complete. Next slide, please. Right now, we are running a multitude of incentive bonuses for both customers and contractors. Right now, we are offering a 25% bonus on exterior measures, including lighting, insulation, glazing, and more. We're offering a chain and franchise bonus for retail locations. So say, for example, a Walgreens pharmacy, if they did multiple locations throughout DTE territory, the second and beyond locations could receive bonuses of 10 to 20% on top of the baseline incentive level. Next slide, please. For our designated trade allies, we're also running some bonuses right now. We have boiler tune-ups at $20 for space heating and domestic hot water, and $200 per boiler for process. We're also offering a large project bonus, which is a 10% incentive increase for projects with eligible measure categories of at least $9,100 per measure category. Next slide, please. Additionally, we've got a chiller tune-up bonus for trade allies that's $2.50 per ton. A new construction bonus that offers 10% of the value of incentives for new construction or major renovation applications. And finally, and this is an important one, a summer contractor bonus, which expires at the end of this month. And contractors can earn anywhere from 10 to 20% bonus incentives on the total cumulative amount submitted during the bonus period. So if anybody on the call here has any projects that are nearing completion or are complete and you haven't turned in the final application, now is the time to do it before the end of September. Next slide, please. If you're a customer and you're looking for financing options, Michigan Saves is offering a couple different financing mechanisms. They're offering 0% financing on all projects up to $150,000 financed for 36 months, or a 1.99% rate for all projects up to $150,000 for a 5-year period. And their information's here. If you don't get it down, we can always provide that for you afterwards as well. Next slide, please. All right, if you have any questions about the program, here's our contact info. Feel free to give us a call, send me an email. I'm happy to talk with you about it, but I will keep this moving and let the next presenter go. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. There's a lot of questions that came through with Tamika and Peter's presentation, so keep them rolling, everybody on the call, and feel free to circle back to the questions to make sure they're answered with all the details that you'd like. Now we're gonna welcome Brian Calka.
I'm trying to answer them.
You're doing great. I see him. I see. You're
Oh,
on.
thank you. Thank you.
Good job, Ken. Good job. So good morning, everybody. My name is Brian Calka, and I lead DTE Energy's Renewable Solutions team. And what our team is responsible for is DTE's voluntary renewables program, which we call MIGreenPower. So first off, kudos to the presenters before me. Job well done. It's very exciting for me to be here with the group today. And what I plan to do is to share how we at DTE are delivering safe and cleaner energy to our customers. Rest assured, we are doing as much as we can, as fast as we can, to keep energy reliable and affordable while we are on this journey to reduce both our carbon footprint, but also to facilitate customers reducing theirs. This carbon reduction strategy is complex. There's a lot of pieces to it. So we'll spend the next couple of slides here to walk through what those pieces are. Next slide, please. So as many of you know, we are on a path to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050 in both the gas and electric business at DTE. Within the electric business, there are a number of milestones that we will reach in the next 5 years to realize our portion of that goal. So first, we are tripling our renewable energy generation capacity over the next 5 years. A few months ago, we received approval from the Michigan Public Service Commission for 2 solar power purchase agreements, as well as building another wind park in mid-Michigan. The wind park will be online later this year, and that will be used to help DTE achieve the state's renewable portfolio standard, which essentially is the state law that states that 15% of all of DTE's generation must come from renewable energy. And the solar parks that I just mentioned, they will be online in 2022. Another key pillar of our overall strategy is the retirement of coal plants. And over the next 5 years, we are going to be retiring a number of them. So first and foremost, the River Rouge power plant will be retired in 2021. And then we have our St. Clair power plant as well as the Trenton Channel power plant, and both of those will be retired in May of 2022. Now, obviously, these power plants have been integral in the communities where they've been for many, many years. And as part of this retirement strategy, we will be working very closely with the impacted communities to help with economic development efforts. And then also as part of that, we have committed to no employee layoffs as part of this retirement strategy. In addition, we are bringing online the Blue Water Energy Center that will be online in 2022. This will be what we call a state-of-the-art, highly efficient natural gas plant, and that will be located in East China Township. And what this plant will do is it provides electricity 24/7, and it really has the ability to quickly ramp up and ramp down its output to complement the intermittency of the renewable energy resources like wind and solar. This plant will be 70% cleaner and 40% more efficient than the coal plants that I just mentioned, which will be retired in the coming years. And then the last key pillar of this broad overarching strategy is we are looking at a number of strategies which Ken, Tamika, Peter have discussed regarding reducing energy usage. And our plan is to be helping everybody reduce their energy usage by 2% each year. So exciting things along those lines. So in addition, we are working very closely with state and federal policymakers to advocate for a number of advanced technologies, future regulations related to carbon offsets, electricity capture, storage technologies, and other supporting policies. In our net zero outline that we have communicated, we did commit to playing a leading role in developing these technologies that can reduce emissions. And some of these technologies are carbon sequestration and large-scale battery storage. So we look forward to participating and playing that role. So obviously, when you think about this strategy we've laid out, our goal here is to reduce down to zero carbon emissions by 2050. Definitely sounds far away, but it surely will be here before we know it. And obviously, as we do proceed with these strategies, please rest assured that we at DTE are acutely focused on what we consider our ongoing responsibility to all of our customers to keep our rates affordable and to keep our electricity delivery reliable. Next slide, please. So along with adding renewable energy assets for the state's renewable portfolio standard and retiring coal plants and expanding energy efficiency efforts, MIGreenPower, which again is our voluntary renewable program, plays a significant role in our net zero carbon emission strategy. And at a high level, what the program is, it's our voluntary program where customers can attribute a percentage of their energy use to renewable energy. So when a customer enrolls to MIGreenPower, they increase demand for clean energy projects within the state, therefore accelerating the development of the assets that deliver and produce that energy, which obviously has profound impacts for jobs, for taxes here in the state. It's just good all the way around. So as more customers enroll in the program, we will continue to build or acquire additional assets to support the demand. This program is on track to become one of the country's largest voluntary renewables programs over the next 5 years, thanks to the many thousands of customers who are enrolled in the program. Both residential and business customers view MIGreenPower as a way to reduce their carbon footprint quickly and affordably, and without the need to put solar panels or wind turbines on their property, on their homes. So many different elements of the value proposition of enrolling in MIGreenPower. So for business customers, keep in mind that participation in the program at any level, when I say any level, part of the value proposition of the program is that you can go as low as 5% of your usage attributed to renewable resources, or you can go all the way up to 100%. But the participating in the program for business customers is Green E Energy certified. And it also, we've seen many examples of this where participation in the program has helped buildings earn LEED certification and EPA Green Power Partner status. Next slide, please. So this slide here talks about Rider 17. And Rider 17 is the regulatory name for what we consider our residential and small business program within the MIGreenPower umbrella. And we currently have 3 projects that are sourcing the renewable energy for this program. First, we have the O'Shea Solar Park located in the city of Detroit, a little bit south of I-96, right around Evergreen. We also have Lapeer Solar Park up in Lapeer, which is one of the largest solar arrays east of the Mississippi. And then last but definitely not least, we have the Pinnebog Wind Park, which is located up in Huron County. So as I mentioned before, the demand of the program is what drives the growth of more renewable energy assets here in the state of Michigan. So currently the Rider 17 program is more than 27% subscribed. And over the next couple of years, we anticipate building or buying new renewable assets to help satisfy the demand of our residential and small business customers. So in terms of the premium that customers pay, what the dollars are used for, they are attributed only to these projects, and they support the upfront construction costs as well as the ongoing operations and maintenance at those particular solar and wind parks. The premium and the energy source for the program is not counted towards the state's renewable portfolio standard, and as such, growing MIGreenPower allows us to produce more clean energy beyond what is required by the state. A few months ago, back in May, we offered a new program called the Wind Only program under the broader MIGreenPower umbrella. And what this program is it's the most affordable offering that we do have, and the premium for that particular program is currently 2.3 cents per kilowatt hour, while the original program, which is a 50-50 blend of wind and solar, has a premium of 3.2 cents a kilowatt hour. The wind-only program is similar to that 3.2 cent per kilowatt hour program, in that both are based on your electric usage each month. So in other words, that 2.3 cents or 3.2 cents per kilowatt hour, depending on the program you pick, that is applied based on the level you sign up for towards your usage each month. So currently, we've had a lot of success with the program. Over 2,000 customers have enrolled in the wind-only program, and we see significant growth here in the future. And the reality is this is just one of many new programs that we will be introducing to our residential and small business customers over the next few years. Next slide, please. So you might have heard some really exciting news over the past year or so related to several of Michigan's most well-known institutions who are now MIGreenPower subscribers. Examples of these: General Motors, Ford, University of Michigan, the Detroit Zoo. Some of you might have seen the announcement on Monday. Ann Arbor Spark actually just enrolled in the program at the 100% level. And really, we found huge success with this program. And what it's enabling these customers to do is to really meet their clean energy needs in a very simple fashion. So in April, the big news that we announced was that General Motors expanded their participation in the program, making their investment in the program the largest clean energy purchase in the state of Michigan. What they actually signed up to do is to purchase another 500,000 megawatt hours to their existing enrollment in the program, which in total is 840,000 megawatt hours. So when you think about that number and how big of a number that is equivalent to about 125,000 average residential homes who would attribute 100% of their usage towards MIGreenPower. So just a massive enrollment. Good for them, good for the state, good for the environment. Next slide, please. So this here is an extremely exciting slide for me, as it shows the magnitude of what DTE is doing in terms of its commitment to reducing its carbon emissions. And what you see here throughout the state is over 50 renewable projects in total. So back to the Rider 19 conversation, this program has different assets than the assets we use for the Rider 17 program. And currently we are in the process of developing 3 wind parks in the state explicitly for these Rider 19 customers. These projects will be online, a few of them later this year in Q4, and then we also have 1 or 2 of these coming online in early 2021. And these projects are highlighted with the green text on the left side of this map. Two of the parks, the Isabella 1 and Isabella 2, as they're affectionately known, they're located in mid-Michigan, and they will, upon operation, be the largest wind parks in the state once they're operational. They will have a capacity of over 175 megawatts each. And by comparison, currently in the state, the largest wind park is the Polaris Wind Park, which is 168 megawatts. The third wind park, it's called Fairbanks, up in the Upper Peninsula. It's a little bit smaller in size. It will be around 72 megawatts in size. That will be online later this year. The exciting news for us, though, is that that program, these assets that are coming online over the next 6 to 9 months, they are already 100% subscribed. And what that is allowing us to do is to ask for approval from the Michigan Public Service Commission, which was part of our most recent regulatory filing, for over 400 megawatts of additional solar capacity, which will be online in 2023. So as you can see, the clean energy demand from our largest customers here in the state is higher than ever, and we fully expect that participation in the MIGreenPower program through the Rider 19 tariff will grow significantly here in the next years. Next slide, please. So this is the last slide for me. So in closing, first off, I want to appreciate everyone's time today, and thank you to the 2030 district organizations for letting us spread the word about MIGreenPower. If anyone has questions about the program or just the broader DTE clean energy transition, please continue to ask questions in the Q&A, or you can reach out to myself. My contact info is here on the slide, or you can reach out to the broader Renewable Solutions team through the email address there, migreenpower.com. I'm sorry, migreenpower@dteenergy.com. So thanks again for your time. And with that, I will turn it back over to Jillian. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. So Brian, that was an amazing presentation. And there was some questions that come through, and Ken was our speedy on answering those questions for us. So people that are on the call, feel free to ask some follow-up questions, and now because we're turning into more of a live Q&A. So something that, oh, I get to see everybody's faces. Hey, everybody. So for those of you on the call, you've been here before, you know that you have the opportunity to send in a burning question if you have it as an early bird question. And so to get us starting, I'm going to ask something from Geoffrey Lewis, who asks a good one to start with, and what incentives or programs does DTE offer for going all electric and not hooking up any natural gas services? Thank you, Brian, for putting that in the chat, by the way. And this is open to who anybody wants to answer it.
Repeat the question.
Oh, excuse me. So what incentives or programs does DTE have that incentivize reducing our carbon footprint, but by specifically going all electric, if there is one?
There are incentives available for most applications. The only thing we cannot incentivize is, call it fuel switching. If you have natural gas now and you switch to all electric, we can't really incentivize that. We can incentivize, if you're a DTE customer, the air conditioning portion of it, but not the natural gas portion. But there are incentives available for any type of application.
I think that's an important piece to bring up too, because sometimes that is missed in the perspective of the utilities, is that you're there to help them achieve their goals, and you got to work with what you're able to provide them at that time.
Right. We will open our minds up to be creative, but there are just certain rules that we cannot break, exactly. So to speak.
For sure. And there's a lot of opportunities that, you know, Brian and Tamika and Peter have put in the chat and had talked about today. Geoffrey Lewis, if you have follow-up questions, please feel free to continue. So this one came from Stephen, kind of a hard one. And and that is, what do you think about, oh no, my computer's freezing. Could you please discuss the thermal districts in using ambient temperature to, okay, what he's asking is about like waste recovery. Do you have programs around waste recovery units, like vent traps, or for example?
So through the DTE Energy Efficiency Program for Business, we do have some incentives for waste heat recovery. So if you have any specific questions about a project, just feel free to contact me, or Craig. Look like Craig Thompson has been kind enough to post all our phone numbers in the chat as well.
Okay, I'm unmuting myself to jump in where Jillian has a frozen computer right now. John Constantine asks, is DTE supportive of net metering for clients with solar panels?
The short answer to that is absolutely. We are supportive of clean energy in general. A lot of different flavors on how you can actually achieve that. But yeah, we are supportive of distributed generation, which we have a rider that supports how that particular program would work. I think the key piece though with those types of programs is a fair attribution of the costs of those particular programs. So in other words, we're supportive of those types of policies and procedures as long as other customers are not providing subsidies to support that. We just look for fair, equitable distribution of costs, and that's where we've been from a policy standpoint from the onset. So we have a couple thousand customers within our DTE customer base who are participating in the distributed generation program, and based on what we see, we expect those figures to grow. At the same time, when you look at MIGreenPower, we've got 17,000 customers. We're actually almost at that 17,000 customer figure, so you can just see the impact just more broadly across the state about people wanting to green up their electric usage. So yes, the short answer to the question is absolutely.
Ryan, there was a question about net metering for solar. Do those distributed generation customers require net metering?
So net metering and distributed generation are generally one in the same. We had a net metering program when it first came out, which was just the mechanism on how customers were compensated. And then that transitioned into the distributed generation program, which just changed the mechanics of how the program operated a little bit, and how customers who used on-site electricity or sold back to the grid were compensated. Obviously, those customers who were net metering customers prior to that change were grandfathered for 10 years. But yeah, we definitely are supportive of anybody who wants to green up their operation.
Great. So Michelle Rumza asks, do you have a source for residential solar in Southwest Michigan? Is there a DTE comparable company in Southwest Michigan, or is DTE located here as well?
Our electric company is not located in Southwest Michigan. That would be Consumers Energy. They are our sister electric company here in the state of Michigan. We do have on the gas side though, as Ken touched on and you saw from some of the visuals, we do have gas operations on the west side of the state, in and around Grand Rapids, up through the northern portion of the Lower Peninsula, and even up into the Upper Peninsula. But Consumers Energy would be the comparable electric utility in the state in Southwest Michigan.
And they do have both the residential and commercial industrial incentive programs, the same as we do. Measures and incentive levels might be different, but they do have programs as well.
And usually the measures and incentives are pretty comparable. DTE and consumers offering around the same incentives and programs, correct?
Pretty comparable, but DTE is more cost effective. We want to make sure that we're using our ratepayer surcharge dollars in a cost effective manner. So sometimes our incentives do not line up on the same measure. Ours will be more than likely less than consumers energy, but they do have programs similar to ours. Measures are basically the same, things like that. So yes, they do.
And for those of you who are in both territories, like many of us in West Michigan who have consumers energy for our electric and DTE for our gas, or vice versa, in some areas of Michigan as well. So always remember to, apply for those incentives from both programs for any project, and anything that you're doing, look into it, because if it isn't, we've described prescriptive versus custom. If there isn't a prescriptive measure, then you may be able to receive incentives for a custom measure. So make sure you're checking those out, because you don't want to leave that money on the table.
And
I don't know where you're at, Jill, if you're ready to take back over, or if we're ready on the fly here to do what we got to do.
About that. My computer, everything was still running, but I couldn't move anything on my screen.
Just one more comment on the consumers energy.
Yes.
You're in luck. DNV-GL actually implements their commercial industrial program. So you can get a hold of Peter, and Peter will put you in touch with the consumers energy counterpart that implements the consumers energy program.
I do love that about the utility. That's the utilities. That's something that I've picked up over the years, is that I can ask somebody who represents one of the two companies, but they always know somebody else who can put me in the right direction if I accidentally got the wrong one,
And in many cases, they work in the same office. So DNV is running the incentive programs for both consumers and DTE, and DNV is housed in one office. So their counterpart is usually sitting next to them in a lot of cases. No?
Detroit DNV that runs the DTE energy program is located in downtown Detroit. And for the consumers program, they're in Okemos, I believe, or Jackson, Okemos, I think. So,
sorry,
but they still meet, and we all meet together in the Michigan Public Service Commission collaborative that they have every month. Now we're doing a visual just like this, so we sit next to each other in meetings all the time. In Grand Rapids, they do share offices, however.
Yeah, Drew Rouse just piped up. Did you see that? Thanks, Drew. There's a question from the bank, and let's hope my computer stays with me here. Someone was just curious about, could you speak to industry developments, like utility industry developments, about utility scale energy storage? Is that still in the pilot phase? Is that not really interested? What's up with that?
Yeah, so broadly, you've got a lot of utilities that are rolling this out in conjunction with renewable energy projects, because as we know, I use the term intermittent in my conversation, and obviously you need energy at all times of the day and night. So these battery projects obviously are a way to provide that energy when the wind might not be blowing or the sun might not be shining. There are states in Southwest California, Nevada, Arizona, where they are further along the continuum of large scale energy. Here in Michigan, we at DTE have a number of pilots that are ongoing, and we are working in a collaborative with our friends in Lansing and with Consumers Energy and other utilities in the state on various energy storage technologies, but also policies that will support that. We at DTE, we have some batteries that are rolled throughout the territory that are just being monitored to look at how they're operating. Technically, they work just fine. They are just incredibly cost inefficient at this point. And obviously we want to make sure that we are keeping affordability for our customers in terms of their rates. So being mindful of that, we're not at a point where we can roll this out on a scalable basis, but we are committed to working internal to the company, but also with critical stakeholders to get to that point as soon as we possibly can.
Thank you for that. It seems like the industry, the utility regions learn from each other. You know what I mean? And we're all trying to figure out a way to do it which best works for us.
Absolutely.
So the next question that had come through is, well, honestly, I honestly think it's been answered, but it has been answered in the written Q&A that was answered earlier. But they're asking, you know, if they have a customized project, and Peter, I didn't know that the deadline was like at the end of this month. That's like 6 days, right? So how to best get a hold of you and to make their project worth it before the end of the fiscal year? That's what essentially the question is.
Yeah, and just to clarify, the only thing running out at the end of this month is our summer contractor bonus. Our incentive program runs, the 2020 year runs through November 30th, and then December 1st will roll into 2021. So there's no interruption in service, but if you have projects that you want to try to get complete this year, make sure that you're aiming for that November 30th date. And you can either always contact me, or if you're working with an energy advisor on our team already, we've got a fantastic outreach team. I think some of them are on here today. And just keep in touch with us. Give us a call anytime. We're happy to help you out.
And I mean, 2021 is like still will have incentives if you're not able to contact Peter like by the end of this month, right?
Yes,
or
that's correct.
are you just retiring and the whole thing's going with you?
No. There's definitely a program next year with ambitious goals. So it's just a matter of from year to year, sometimes the incentives change slightly, the measures change slightly, but we will still be here.
And more than likely, we will be here in 2022 and 23 as well. Energy efficiency is an integral part of our integrated resource plan, which we have to file every year with the Public Service Commission. I don't know if it's every year, but we have to file with the Public Service Commission, and it's about how we're going to serve our customers. And energy efficiency, renewables that Brian talked about, they're all a big part of our integrated resource plan. So we will be filing 2022 and 23 energy waste reduction plans, probably mid-July of next 2021.
Yeah,
I have a question on applying for an incentive, Peter, maybe you can answer. Can somebody start the application if they've already started the upgrade or have finished it? Or do they have to apply before?
So there are some measures that require a reservation. Other measures, you can just submit the rebate once you have completed it. But I don't want to discourage anybody from trying to apply for incentives. So anything you have, anything you've completed recently, please get in touch with us and we'll try to work with you on that.
The more complicated.
Don't ever be afraid to ask.
Yeah, and the more complicated projects, we would like to do a pre-inspection, go see what you got before you take it out, and then a post-inspection. But we can still work with that, especially in this COVID-19 environment that we're all operating in.
There's a question that had come around, and it was particularly about asking the connection between the 2030 districts and the utilities. And, folks are trying to reach these goals. And the utilities are obviously very ready and willing to help people reach these goals. And the same with the 2030 districts. That's why we're having this conversation at all. So folks who have a statewide footprint, how do they get involved with the 2030 districts and maximize their capacity to, achieve their carbon goals over the whole city? Over the whole state. So how would somebody get involved with the 2030 districts and then therefore the utilities also?
So I can take that, at least start it off. Maybe Connie and Jan have a couple things to add, but it's our job as a 2030 district, and we work very closely with our utilities to connect you. So in different ways, if you're doing a project with, your no contractors involved, then of course we can get you connected like we are today, making sure that you're aware of the programs. And sorry, my husband's making his coffee. And then also, of course, is through our membership, we have contractors who are very connected to these programs. They're contractors with goals like ours to decarbonize Michigan. And so they can work with your project and through your utilities to maximize those savings. So if your contractor isn't doing that for you, then you need to make them aware, and they could become a trade ally with DTE, or perhaps be shopping for a contractor who is aware of these programs, because you definitely do not want to leave this money on the table. This is something that, I don't know if anyone's mentioned this yet, but all of us as ratepayers are donating to these programs. And so in your monthly bill, you'll see the optimization surcharge. So you are donating to these programs. So don't let your neighbor get all the incentives. Make sure that you're getting part of your investment back, or hopefully even more than you've invested. I don't know if Jan or Connie has anything to add to that.
Sure. I think the question was kind of like, how does somebody with multiple buildings throughout the state of Michigan get the most out of 2030 districts and our relationship with these three companies? So first of all, I'd like to say that DTE, MIGreenPower, and DNV-GL support all three districts as professional stakeholders. So we truly thank them for their commitment to our program. And as we talk to other districts across the country, I can tell you that is not the same situation in every city. So we have a great working relationship. We all work together. I think that's what's so great about Michigan too. And so I think in general too, we like to just be a resource of any magnitude of any project that you're trying to do to create a high performance building and reduce carbon. 2030 districts are a resource of people and companies that want to help and are here to help. And we've been doing this for a few years now. And, you know, just in Detroit alone, we have 40 nonprofits we team up with, and 30 businesses. And if you combine all of us together, we have great resources for anything. But thank you to these three companies that really support what we do.
Yeah, thank you so much, folks. I think I'm gonna transition to the next part of the presentation. But before I do, are there any final thoughts from the group? Tamika, I saw you unmuted.
I think the biggest thing to help everyone get involved is, if you don't already know, start tracking what you use. And that's the biggest step for all of building owners, facility managers, is start tracking your energy use, your water usage, because that's the first thing that helps you identify where, that's where we're gonna start from at the beginning, is what are you using, how much are you using, whether it's monthly, annually, but start tracking. And then secondly, if you don't know, call us up and we're more than happy to come out to give you the walkthrough to let you know these are the opportunities that you have available for energy efficiency. And it gives you a starting point so that you can reach out to Peter to find out what incentives that are available to you, whether it's electric and gas. And if you're not a DTE customer, you can always figure out or reach out to Consumers Energy to see what incentives that you can apply for through them.
I just want to back that up a little bit, because you cannot manage what you don't measure. And Tamika really hit the nail on the head. And I can tell you story after story that I've been involved with as an energy contractor prior to my work in nonprofit, of just having an idea of where you stand compared to other buildings. And that is such an important piece of the 2030 district. When you join the 2030 district, it's required that you do that piece, and we lead you through that. So if it's something that you don't already do, we will help you to get that baseline for your building, help you compare yourself to like buildings in our climate zone so that you know. And I like to tell the story that if you're shopping for a high efficient fueled vehicle, how do you know what that number is without benchmarks? How do we know that 10 miles a gallon is bad and 40 is good unless we know where we stand? And so many building owners don't have that information right now. And so they just pay their bills and they don't know where they should be and how much money is sitting on the table. I have sold projects in my former life as a contractor based completely on the savings that will come from the project. So it really works. You can't manage what you don't measure.
And just one more comment with that too, when a building member joins any of our districts, we help you out with all of that. So if you're not familiar with Energy Star Portfolio Manager and you don't even want to tackle it yourself, we're here to help you do it for no cost. So it's kind of nothing to lose.
Final thoughts, anybody else?
I just want to thank 2030 districts for having us here to talk through all of these various, critical pillars for addressing climate change issues, right? And whether it be conservation, whether it be renewables, et cetera. And I think most, if not all of us, would agree that climate change is here. It's real. We've started to see the impacts of this, and everybody has a responsibility to do what they can do to minimize their emissions into the atmosphere, right? Through energy conservation, through greening up their operations. So, at DTE, we mentioned the MIGreenPower program, so I'll put a plug in there as well. Early next year, we will be having a sister program to MIGreenPower on our gas business. So people can actually sign up to offset their gas usage from renewable resources as well. So DTE is committed to doing its part, hopefully enabling customers to sign up to these types of programs to reduce their emissions into the atmosphere. So thanks again.
I want to just say that somebody asked, utilities around the region aren't necessarily involved with Detroit 2030. The DTE is involved because the vision of the 2030 district and the vision of DTE and the aspirations of DTE are all aligned. We normally would not participate if the vision wasn't aligned, and these are aligned perfectly. Reducing carbon, helping business owners understand where they use energy, helping them reduce their energy consumption, which will reduce their carbon, and it all ties together. And so that's why DTE Energy is so involved in the 2030 districts throughout the state.
Thank you, Ken. I want to just drive that home a little bit because Connie mentioned some of our counterparts throughout the country. And there are several cases where the utilities, especially the gas utility, is not supportive of the 2030 districts in their city. So we are happy to have like-minded utilities in Michigan and grateful that we have this partnership and that we will reach our goals, as Governor Whitmer just put through a climate change goal for us in Michigan yesterday or the day before. So I know we're going to get there with partners like we have in Michigan and owners who really want to reach these goals. We've always been a community that has worked together. So thanks to everyone. I'll let you wrap it up now, Jillian. I know our time is running out.
Yes, thank you, honestly. Thank you, Tamika and Connie and Jan and Brian and Ken, Peter, and I hope I said everybody because I really do mean it. Thank you so much. And to all the folks on the call, thank you for coming again. We always like to be able to connect with you guys at least once a week, and one day we'll see your faces again, but in the meantime, glad to have you here. So as I always say, that survey is important, and that's why we got these people in front of you in the first place. But coming forward, we're really excited for October 22nd to November 22nd. It's going to be our Michigan Battle of the Building Energy Summit series. And we usually have the Energy Summit, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of learning, and it's just great time to network with everybody. in person in April, but 2020 had different plans. So we'll see you all on the Thursdays coming up between October 22nd to November 19th. Don't be a stranger. We'd love to see you. And as always, thank you so much, truly, very sincerely, to DTE, Consumers, Eagle, DNV-GL, and everybody else who makes this job really worth it. So thanks a lot, everybody. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys again.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.